Welcome to Book of Recaps. Today we are going to discuss the crime thriller movie name A Simple Plan. The story begins with the main character, Hank Mitchell. We can hear his voice saying, "My father used to say that to be happy in life, a man should have a good wife, a good job, friends, and neighbors. I had all this, but then everything changed." Hank and his wife, Sarah, live in a small town in Minnesota. Hank works in a feed mill and Sarah is a librarian. Hank is one of the few people in town who has a college degree. It was Christmas time, and Hank was very nice to everyone, and everyone liked him. At home, Hank spends time with his pregnant wife, Sarah. They are both happy and love each other very much. After a while, Hank's brother, Jacob, comes to meet him with his friend. Lou. Jacob is a lonely man, and Lou is his only friend, although Hank does not like Lou very much. Both brothers were going to visit their father's grave that day. Hank is a little irritated that Lou is also going with them, but Jacob says that Lou just needs a lift and that they will drop him on the way. On their way back from the cemetery, Jacob is driving the car. A fox, which was running with a dead chicken in its mouth, comes in their way. They turn the car and bump into a tree. They all get down to check the damage and decide to follow the fox into the jungle. Jacob takes his gun to kill it. While looking for the fox, he finds a crashed plane. The story becomes interesting from here. Hank looks inside the plane and sees a dead pilot, which the birds were eating. Hank gets scared, and Jacob pulls him out of the plane. Before leaving, Jacob sees a bag inside. Lou opens the bag and finds over $4 million in cash in it, mostly in $100 bills. They think that this must be drug money. The plane was hidden under the snow, so no one will find it easily. Hank wanted to report it to the police, but Jacob and Lou convince him to keep quiet. Hank warns them that if anyone finds out about the plane, they can go to jail. He says, "We don't know whose money this is, but if we have to keep it, we need a plan for it." He advises them to hide the money until the spring season. If no one comes for it by then, they will distribute it among themselves and leave the town. Everyone agrees. They put the money in the back of their truck. Meanwhile, Sheriff Carl passes by and sees them. They hide the money quickly. Carl talks to Hank, and Hank tries to act normal. Luckily, Carl trusts Hank, but then Jacob mentions the plane by mistake. Carl is surprised to hear this and asks more questions. But Hank and Lou start talking about other things to confuse him. After Carl's departure, Hank was angry with Jacob and Lou. He scolds them for being careless and says that if anything goes wrong, they will burn all the money. Everyone promises to keep this secret. Later, they drop Lou at his house. Lou and his wife, Nancy, used to fight all the time, and Hank didn't like some of Lou's bad habits, like making fun of everything. Hank comes home and tells his wife, Sarah, about the money, flipping the bag open on the table. Sarah is surprised to see it, especially since they had promised not to tell anyone. During dinner, Sarah says that it is wrong to keep this money and that it is a crime. Hank agrees but gets confused later. But Sarah changes her mind at night. She says that they can keep the money for themselves, but they should leave some money in the plane. That way, if someone finds the plane, no one will doubt that there was money inside and that someone took it. Hank agrees to this as he needed a safe plan anyway. The next morning, Hank convinces Jacob to go back to the plane. Jacob was a little angry, but he agrees. When he reaches there, Hank asks Jacob to stand guard and goes alone into the crashed plane. He is successful in putting some of the money back. While Jacob was waiting, a man from the town comes on a white snowmobile. He asks Jacob if he has seen a fox. Jacob says no. In the meantime, Hank also returned. But before he got there, Jacob attacked the man because he was scared that he would find out his secret. When Hank reached there, he saw that the man was dead. He tells Jacob that he will have to make it look like an accident. Hank takes the man, Dwight, on the snowmobile. But then Dwight comes to his senses and starts threatening to call the police. Hank is scared of this and, in helplessness, he throws Dwight down a bridge. He was definitely dead now. Now it looked like an accident. After cleaning up, Hank came back to Jacob. Jacob was feeling guilty and wanted to tell the truth, saying that it was all his idea. But then Hank also told the truth that he had killed Dwight, who was still alive until he pushed him. Later, Hank tells everything to Sarah. Sarah warns him that the police can follow his footprint. Hank says that all the marks will be erased by the snow. Soon, Dwight's death was reported in the news, and it was believed that his death was an accident. This reduced their fear a little. But Sarah did not know the full truth, that the killer of that man was actually Hank, not Jacob. The next day, Jacob calls Hank and says that he has to talk to him about something important. When Hank comes to meet him, Jacob looked happy. He says that after winter, when he will get his share of the money, he wants to rebuild his family farm. Hank refuses and explains to him that his plan was to leave the town. Jacob wants Hank to buy land for him, but Hank explains that if he suddenly becomes rich, people will doubt him and they will be caught. Hank says that their father always had money issues. On this, Jacob reminds Hank that most of their family's money was spent on Hank's education. Hank calms down and says that there is no money issue now and that they can live a good life. Jacob says that he does not want money, he just wants his land back. For Hank, his future is with his wife and his unborn child, but for Jacob, Minnesota is his home. Later, Hank meets Sarah. Sarah had found some information online and found out that the money they found was a ransom given to get rid of a rich girl after she was kidnapped. Two brothers were involved in this crime. Sarah shows Hank a picture and asks if he can recognize the dead pilot, but Hank says no, that the dead body was badly damaged. Sarah says that this could be a good thing. If this was ransom money from a crime, then maybe no one would come to find it. A few days passed. One night, when Hank was sleeping, he hears a voice at the door. When he went to see, Lou was there and he was drunk. Lou had come to ask for money, but he had nothing with him. Hank scolds him and reminds him that they had decided that until they get the plane and no one comes to find the money, they have to stay quiet. But Lou was very upset and was not listening. Hank was worried about Lou's carelessness. He threatens him that if he asks for money again, he will burn all the money the next day. Lou gets angry and says that he knows everything because Jacob had given him the information about the money. Hank tries to make him understand that they are all in the same boat, but Lou threatens that he will go and tell everything to the police. Hank tells him a lie, saying that he has hidden the money somewhere far away and that it will take a day to bring it back. He promises that Lou will definitely get his share. Lou tells him that he has a loan and really needs help. Hank gives him some cash, and for now, he trusts Hank. Sometime later, Sarah gives birth to a baby girl. Jacob comes to meet him. Hank was angry and asks Jacob why he told Lou their secret. He says, "Now you will have to either support me or Lou." But obviously, Jacob was his brother, so he takes his brother's side. Jacob brought a gift for the new baby, but it was a broken toy, so Sarah did not keep it. Sarah started thinking more about the money. She convinces Hank to put the blame for Dwight's murder on Lou. Her plan was to make Lou drunk and force him to believe that he had killed Dwight. Hank would record all of this and later threaten Lou. When Jacob hears this plan, he does not like it at all, but he was helpless to his brother. Before completing the plan, he goes to Lou's house. While they were talking, Jacob tells a secret. His father did not die in an accident. He took his own life so that the family could pay off their debt with the insurance money. Hank did not know about this. Anyway, when Lou was completely drunk, both brothers somehow convince him that he had killed Dwight. Although this was not true, Hank had recorded his confession. He starts threatening Lou with it, but Lou gets very angry, so he picks up a gun. The situation gets out of control. Jacob shoots Lou, and in self-defense, Hank kills Susan, who is Lou's wife. And all of this happened for that money. Now that Lou and Nancy are both dead, the secret of both brothers is safe for now. And then, Hank calls the police station. He acts like a scared neighbor who is only hearing gunshots from outside. He cleans his fingerprints from the gun and puts it in Lou's hand to show that Lou first killed his wife and then himself. Because everyone knew that Lou and Nancy always fought, the police will easily believe this lie. On the other hand, Hank behaves normally, as if nothing happened. He even makes Jacob practice his testimony, but Jacob was so scared that he could not even speak properly. Later, they both go to the police station to tell their story. Officer Carl is a little suspicious because their statements were different, so he interrogates them separately. But Hank also makes Officer Carl believe that everything happened because of a fight. After this, Lou and Nancy were buried. At the funeral, Hank, his wife, and Jacob were also there, as if they did nothing. Hank and his wife, Sarah, start living a peaceful life, but Jacob separates himself from them. He goes to the bar alone every night and drinks a lot. When Hank and Sarah were bathing their daughter, Sheriff Carl comes to their house. He tells them that he found Jacob drunk in the bar and brought him back home. Hank gets scared in the beginning, thinking that Carl has found out the truth. But Jacob did not tell Carl anything when he was drunk. This was a relief for Hank. Hank thanks Carl and takes Jacob to the baby's room to rest. Jacob says that he feels that he has become a bad person. But Hank did not feel this way. He has a wife, a daughter, and money. His life seems perfect for him now. Some days pass peacefully. Then one day, when Hank was getting his hair cut, Carl comes there. which makes Hank a little nervous. Carl says that Jacob had once said that he had heard that someone was looking for a plane. Carl asks if Hank and Jacob would help an agent, Neil Baxter, to find that plane. Hank was nervous, but he says yes. Hank and Jacob meet Agent Baxter and Officer Carl at the police station. Later, Sarah gets a little suspicious. She tells Hank that she does not think that Baxter is really an FBI agent and that she thinks he is after the money. Hank ignores her, but Sarah insists that Hank should not go out the next day. She suggests that she should call Carl's office and make an excuse, like the baby is sick, so that Hank stays at home. She also tells Hank not to take Jacob with him. Hank was worried. He says that he cannot live with fear all the time. He says that his own plans put him in this trouble, and now he decides to take all the money back. When Hank goes upstairs, Sarah goes behind him and vents her anger. She tells him how difficult her life has been. Hank works hard day and night, and their daughter plays with old toys. She wants something better. Hank gets angry and tells her to stop. The next day, Hank goes to Carl's office and tells him that he should not go to meet Baxter. But Carl insists. Hank wanted to end the story. Before going to the jungle with him, Hank had hidden a gun with him. Later, he meets Jacob. Hank was surprised because it was already decided that Jacob would not come. Jacob had a rifle, and actually, Carl had asked him to come. Carl finds the plane and shoots a bullet in the air so that Baxter gets the signal. As soon as Hank realizes that they have found the plane, he shouts in fear. Baxter reaches there, where Carl stands near the plane. Hank wanted to save Carl, but Baxter killed him. Then the truth comes out. Baxter was actually a criminal, not an FBI agent, and he had come to take the money forcibly. He asks in anger, "Where is the money?" Scared, Hank says it is inside the plane. Baxter drags him inside the plane. Inside, Hank tries to load his revolver, but his hands are shaking, and the bullets fall from his hands. Baxter gets angry and shoots the plane again and again. Bullets pass very close to Hank. With great difficulty, Hank successfully puts a bullet in the revolver. He comes out of the plane. Baxter opens the bag and checks the cash. Then Hank puts the gun on him. Baxter gets up slowly, smiles, and says, "Can you really kill someone, Hank?" But as soon as Baxter tries to pick up his own gun, Hank shoots without hesitation and ends his story there. After a while, Jacob reaches there. He was completely broken after seeing the dead bodies of Carl and Baxter. He tells Hank to kill him and make it look like Baxter did it. Unwillingly, Hank is forced to do this. In the police station, Hank tells his already prepared story to the real FBI agent. They trusted Hank. But then a bitter truth comes out. The agents tell him that the money was a part of a ransom and that its serial numbers are being tracked. Hank understands that he cannot use the money. He goes back home and burns all of it. And that was all. So much blood, so many lies, so many deaths, just to burn the money. In the last narration, Hank remembers his past and what he lost. Life goes on, but what happened will never be forgotten. And this is where the film ends.